This morning on Capitol Hill, internet safety experts and other witnesses will tell a congressional committee about the growing problem of bullying, both in school and online. Dr. Phil McGraw, host of Dr. Phil Show, is going to be testifying at that hearing this morning, and he joins us exclusively from Washington. Phil, good morning.
Good morning, Harry. How are you?
I know you have done an awful lot of segments on this on your show. This is something that means a lot to you. What is your most important message to those folks down in Washington today?
Well, I want to talk specifically today about cyberbullying because it is the wild, wild web. I mean, it is so out of control. These kids are getting isolated in their homes. They're getting isolated on these computers, and they're getting their reputations ruined. And this is something that is so different, Harry, because there was a time when the bullies were limited to school. They would write things on the bathroom wall, or they would bother these kids on the playground or the lunchroom. But now it travels with them. Even if they change schools, they can get isolated in their own homes. The cyberbullying is a serious, serious problem, and we've got to figure out what to do to get this under control.
And I think what some people don't understand is once a kid becomes a victim of some of these bullies, some of these kids just don't go to school. They refuse to even, show their faces because they're so humiliated.
They're humiliated, and look, so much of what's going on today is beyond parents because our kids are much more computer literate than we are oftentimes, and they can Photoshop pictures and put a child in a humiliating or embarrassing situation. They write emails, they write letters, and so often we see these kids become isolated, withdrawn, they stop going to school, and they can even, as we have seen so tragically with situations like Phoebe Prince, can wind up actually taking their lives. I mean, this is a terrible burden on these kids, and we've got to give the educators the tools they need to prevent this, to intervene in this. It requires training. They need to know how to intervene when it is happening, but we've got to raise awareness about this.
I guess that was my next question, because of all this stuff that I assume you're teaching sophomore English in XYZ high school someplace, along with everything else, you actually need to know of just how widespread this is and how many kids are being victimized by it.
Well, you do. And Harry, what we know is that 42% of all children say they have been bullied online. 35% say they have been outright threatened online. And here's the problem. 85% of this goes completely unabated. There is never any detention. There is never any complaint that is followed up. So this is something that's affecting almost 1 in 2 children, and we're basically not doing anything about it. And that's what today's hearings are about,
Phil,
to try and get this under control.
Help me out on this. All right, say I'm sitting at home and I become aware that my kid is getting roughed up on the internet. What's the best thing I can do for him, and what should I do in terms of approaching the school?
Well, Harry, that is such a great question. And the number one thing that you need to do is get involved with your child. Sometimes parents make the mistake of saying, this is just kids being kids. This is the most alone and isolated your child will ever feel. That's when you need to put your arm around their shoulder and you need to help them. And when you go to the school, don't run in there hysterically with like your hair's on fire. These teachers are dedicated. They are devoted. They want to help, but they need to be made aware, and we need to track down who these kids are. These keyboard bullies are anonymous, which means they're even more mean, they're even more aggressive because they can hide behind anonymity. The school wants to help, so enlist the help of the teachers.
All right. Dr. Phil, as always, thanks very much. Good work down there. Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Harry.
All right.
A lot happens early on The Early Show, weekday mornings on CBS.